Warning: entering Petropolis may result in your pet becoming more famous than you. If you wanted basic, you should have stayed on the other side of the street.
So, what if I told you that one of the most viral pets on social media is hiding a wild, ancient secret right behind its colorful feathers? Today, we're diving into the beautiful and, frankly, complex world of the Indian ringneck parrot. And believe me, the truth is way more fascinating than you might think.
Oh, you've definitely seen these guys on your social media feed. I mean, with those vibrant colors and that uncanny ability to mimic human speech, Indian ringnecks have become total internet stars. They seem so intelligent, so playful, and just undeniably beautiful. But that highlight reel you see online, that's just a tiny piece of a much, much bigger and wilder story.
And right there, that brings us to the central mystery of this amazing bird. You see, field researchers have confirmed it. In their natural habitat, they don't mimic other animals. So, what is really going on when they start perfectly repeating our words? Well, the answer is so much deeper than just some simple party trick. Okay, so to really get them, we have to start with this big paradox. Why would a bird with such sophisticated vocal abilities only use them to copy a completely different species, us, and only when it's living inside our homes? This is where we really have to rethink what talking actually means to them. Out in the wild, they have a whole complex language of their own, to communicate with their flock. Mimicking human speech isn't a survival tool for the forest. It is a profound psychological adaptation for surviving in our homes. It really all boils down to this one fundamental truth. Parrots are deeply social, flock-oriented animals. So when you bring one home, your family becomes the new flock. And since you don't speak their language, they channel all that incredible intelligence into learning yours. This is not just mimicry. It's a massive cognitive effort driven by one powerful instinct, the need to connect and belong. And that same fierce intelligence has defined their relationship with us for thousands of years. It's what allowed them to go from being these sacred companions in ancient India to becoming successful colonists in the world's biggest cities. Their journey with us it's remarkable. In ancient India, they were actually revered. Monks believed that when they mimicked sacred prayers, it was a sign of divine grace. Fast forward a few centuries, the global pet trade brings them into homes all over the world. And, inevitably, some escaped. And they did what they do best. They survived. Today, you can find huge, thriving wild flocks right in the heart of cities like London, Tokyo, and Paris. But yeah, there's an ecological consequence to that success. I mean, how does a tropical bird from Sri Lanka manage to survive a freezing German winter? Through pure opportunistic intelligence. They're so good at adapting that in many places they're now considered an invasive species, aggressively outcompeting native birds for nesting spots and food. But here's the twist. That same wild intelligence that makes them these incredible global survivors, that's the exact thing that makes them so challenging to have as pets. The social media image is often miles and miles away from the day-to-day reality. You might expect this cute, chatty little companion, but the reality is their voice is designed to slice through a dense forest canopy so they can find their flock. So when they're bored or lonely or just want your attention, that talk can become an absolutely ear-splitting scream. And that playful nature, well, it's rooted in their wild instinct as cavity nesters. In nature, their powerful beaks dig out nesting holes in solid tree trunks. In your living room, that same instinct translates to them systematically destroying your furniture, your baseboards, and, most dangerously, chewing right through live electrical wires, which is a very real fire hazard. A lot of people hope for a cuddly bird, but ringnecks are, well, they're generally more standoffish. They tend to bond fiercely to one person, and that loyalty can flip into some pretty intense jealousy. They'll guard their favorite person and might even attack other family members or other pets who they see as a threat to that bond. And then there's this one developmental stage that every potential owner absolutely needs to be ready for. It's called the bluffing phase. It's a completely normal but notoriously difficult period where your sweet baby bird suddenly starts testing every single boundary, often with biting and hissing. Getting through it successfully takes immense patience and really consistent training. So all of this really brings us to the true scale of what it means to bring one of these animals into your life. This isn't just a short-term pet. We're talking about a lifelong companion. Just let this number sink in for a second. With proper care, an Indian ringneck can live for up to 30 years. That's a 3-decade commitment to managing the complex needs of what is essentially a highly intelligent flying toddler with a beak that can break your finger. And part of that commitment is a pretty complex diet. A simple seed mix isn't just not good enough, it's actually dangerously inadequate. They need a solid foundation of scientifically formulated pellets, and on top of that, a wide variety of fresh vegetables and fruits every single day. And the daily demands? They're huge. They need a massive cage to fit that long tail, hours of supervised time outside the cage to fly and explore, a constant rotation of toys to keep their brilliant minds busy, and consistent daily interaction from you to keep that social bond strong. Now, despite all these challenges, there's a community of people deeply devoted to these birds, and a huge reason for that is their stunning beauty. So let's look at the fascinating science that has basically turned this bird into a living, flying canvas. Just look at this contrast. It shows a really remarkable transformation. In the wild, ringnecks are only found in this classic apple green. It's perfect camouflage, right? But in captivity, decades of meticulous selective breeding have unlocked their genetic code, creating this breathtaking rainbow of over 30 different color mutations, like the stunning blue you see here. Breeders who create these colors are basically genetic artists. They're working with different types of genes. So you've got a dominant gene, like for gray-green, that only needs to come from one parent to show up. Then you have a recessive gene, like for that famous blue mutation, which needs to be inherited from both parents. And then you've got sex-linked genes, which are tied directly to the bird's chromosomes, which allows for really predictable outcomes. Mastering this genetic puzzle is what takes it from a hobby to a real science. But this art form requires an almost unbelievable amount of patience. I mean, for some mutations, especially the ones that only show up in males after they mature, a breeder might have to care for a bird for 2, sometimes even 3 years, just waiting for its adult feathers to grow in to see if their genetic pairing was a success. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? It really just boils down to this. Owning an Indian ringneck isn't like owning a dog or a cat. It's about taking this incredibly intelligent being, driven by wild instinct, and figuring out how to integrate it into the totally artificial environment of a modern home. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought to chew on. We know these incredibly adaptable birds are thriving in our biggest cities. So as they spend centuries living in our urban soundscape, soaking up the noises of our traffic, our technology, our voices, will they eventually evolve a completely new feral dialect? You know, something that blurs the lines between bird call and human speech, and just echoes our own civilization right back at us from the treetops.
If your dog they confuse you, no confuse yourself. My brother, just call us. Or you get any pet question where they worry your mind, bring them, come here, make we settle them. The answer they hear, my bro. No go ask Google for pet matter. Ask people where sabi. If you love pets pass more, you suppose don't they talk to the Petropolis. You get all the supplies where you need. Our service na top notch. Lagos Life Hard for pets. Ticks, gutter jumps, fake food. At Petropolis, we have tablets, vaccines, and real food to keep your dog safe. You go on your back. No wait for emergency before you call.